Good morning, BookTube, YouTube, John. This is Johnny. I haven't got my new glasses yet, so I'm trying to focus on here. So yeah, I thought I'd make a video. I noticed it's been 5 days. Time just keeps zooming by here in West Michigan. Today is March the 1st, 2024. It's 9:54 in the morning, as is my habit. The first day of the month, I always take pictures of my paper diary and I post them in my online diary, Crooked Fingers. So today is the first. There are 305 days left in the year 2024. And yeah, so on March the 1st, I'm on page 188 for the year 2024. Yeah, writing in my diary. I take pictures of my diary. I always post books with them, the photos. I posted this morning. I've been reading Transfiguration of Christ, an exegetical and theological reading by Schreiner. Been reading this, and also been reading Biblical Theology, a Canonical and Thematic ethical approach. As I told you, my wife and I were going through the New Testament. So we're in the Gospel of Luke, and so I've been reading that book, Biblical Theology, by Andreas Kostenberger and Gregory Goswell. Been reading just on Luke, but I've been reading this primarily. And yeah, my wife and I we finished reading this morning in the Gospel of Luke. We read chapter 6. Now, I like that chapter 6, you have the Beatitudes. Then he lifted up his eyes towards his disciples and said, "Blessed are the poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you shall be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, and when they exclude you, revile you, cast out your name as evil." Sounds like a cancel culture, doesn't it? "For the Son of Man's sake, rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for indeed your reward is great in heaven. For in like manner their fathers did to the prophets." So tomorrow, Lord willing, we will read chapter 7 of the Gospel of Luke. And then we read the Valley of Vision, and then we have a time of prayer. So that's what I've been reading in the morning. Primarily, I don't know, it's like I still read my Puritan reprints. I still read those in the mornings. I'll probably read them in the month of March 2024. But I just got this book in the mail, and I had it pre-ordered, and so I plan to read this. Take a break from the Puritans, and I'm still reading that New Testament Theology by Schnabel. I'll still read that, but I want to get into this because we're headed towards Resurrection Sunday, and the Transfiguration is points to that, his death and his glorification. You read about the Transfiguration there in the Gospel of Luke, what chapter is it? Chapter 9 and verse 27. "But I tell you truly, there are some standing here who shall not taste death till they see the kingdom of God." Now it came to pass about 8 days after these sayings that he took Peter, John, and James and went up on the mountain to pray. And he prayed. The appearance of his face was altered, and his robe became white and glistening. And behold, two men talked with him, who were Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his death, which he was to accomplish in Jerusalem. But Peter and those who were with him were heavy with sleep. And when they were fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. Then it happened, as they were parting from him, that Peter said to Jesus, Master, is it good for us to be here? Let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were fearful as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son. Hear him. Then the voice had ceased. Jesus was found alone. But they kept quiet and told no one in those days any of the things they had seen. So that's what this book's about, the Transfiguration of Christ, an exegetical and theological reading by Patrick Schreiner. That's a good book to read as we head towards Resurrection Sunday. So, yesterday was a really nice day, and it was sunny, and my wife had to go to Granville, which is next to Grand Rapids, to pick up our taxes. And then we went into Grand Rapids. I went with her because it was a nice day. It wasn't bad weather. And we went to thrift stores, and we went to Schuler Books. And at Schuler's, they have used books. And one of the used books I bought, I'm not going to show all the used books I have. I have like maybe over 20 used books I've gotten from last week and yesterday. But one of the used books I picked up was this one, The Death of the Artist, How Creators Are Struggling to Survive in the Age of Billionaires and Big Tech, by William Deresiewicz. I picked this up and I started reading the first essay in here, Art, the introduction. I've been reading the introduction. And then the next full essay is Art and Money. So I got that yesterday. I showed you the other book I have, which is over there, and I forgot to bring it here to the table. I don't think it's listed here. But I have another book of his over there on my reading table, which I forgot to bring here. But I picked this up, The Death of the Artist. Why is it going blurry? So, yeah. I got in the mail last week, this was on sale from Amazon for $10. And you know I'm really into Jonathan Lethem, and this is a novel that came out in 2020, The Arrest. So I've been reading this, taking a break from reading The Remembered Part by Rigo Friesen. Yeah, I've been reading this pretty steadily. I've read 300 pages, and it's around 700 pages. So I take a break from this and been reading The Arrest by Jonathan Lethem, a novel. I also I got this in the mail last week too, a little Jonathan Lethem, Collapsing Frontier. In this little book are like a lecture he gave, an interview, an essay on the Polish sci-fi writer Lem, L-E-M, just different prose pieces. And as you know, Jonathan Lethem is one of my favorite writers. And then I start reading Vagabonds this week, which I got in the mail. Life on the Streets of 19th-Century London by Oskar Jensen. Yeah, I started reading this. I probably read this before I go to bed at night, Vagabonds. It's like a cultural study what was life like on the streets for street people in London in the 19th century. Vagabonds. I got this book in the mail yesterday. I ordered it a while back. Freaks Came Out to Write, A Definitive History of Village Voice, the Radical Paper That Changed American Culture, by Tricia Romano. As you all know, I'm into reading books about newspapers, underground newspapers, journalists, editors, book publishing, all kinds of books. One of the books I got yesterday at Schuler Books, I'll show you, is by a journalist who worked for the New York Times for 40 years, his memoir. So I got this. Freaks Came Out to Write. It's says here, a rollicking history of America's most iconic weekly newspaper told through the voices of its legendary writers, editors, and photographers. It's like an oral history, people who worked for the Village Voice, which I'm not sure if it's still being, I think it's online now. I don't know if there's a physical copy of the Village Voice, but drawn from more than 200 interviews, including the voices of 2 Pulitzer Prize winner Colson Whitehead, culture critic Greg Tate, gospel columnist Michael Misto, feminist writers Vivian Cornick and Susan Brown Miller, post-punk band Blondie, sportscaster Bob Costa, drummer Wax Winberg of Bruce Springsteen E Street Band, among many others. So it's like an oral history. So I got that. I also got in mail a used book that I had come across. I read this blog by this bibliophile, and he always shows us stacks of books, and he showed this book in a stack, and he had a little blurb about it in his online book blog, and I ordered it and got it. It's used, a library used book. And when I got it and I was cataloging it in library thing, I had 4 other books by him that I have forgotten. He wrote his name was Frederick. The book is called American Fictions 1940 to 1980, A Comprehensive History and Critical Evaluation. And it's by Frederick R. Carl. And I have, and it's right in front of me on my table downstairs, I have a biography of him that he wrote on George Eliot. And I also have a biography by Frederick R. Carl on Joseph Conrad. And he also wrote a biography on William Faulkner, which I have. And then he wrote a book called Modernism and Modern, which I have, one of my favorite books on modernism I have by him down the lower level. So, and I started reading this last night, and I'm really enjoying it. As you all know, I'm a student of literary history, especially American literary history. I like reading about the history of American literature, about the American transcendentalists, Margaret Fuller, Emerson, Thoreau, Hawthorne, Emily Dickinson. And then you get into Edgar Allan Poe, and then you get into people like, different American writers. This covers the 40s to the 80s, like John Barth, John Gardner, John Updike, Saul Billows, Philip Roth, writers like that. He goes into Thomas Pynchon, William Gaddis, people like that he goes into. So if you're into reading, this is considered a classic. A lot of people who are into American literature, history of American literature, have this book in their library, American Fictions, 1940 to 1980. A comprehensive history and critical evaluation. So I do recommend, if you're into American literature, it's good to have a book like this, to read it. Yeah, I've always been interested in the Village Voice. I have other books downstairs on the Village Voice. Freaks came out to write a definitive history of Village Voice, radical paper that changed American culture, by Tricia Romano. I always enjoy reading the writings of Jonathan Lethem. Start reading The Arrest by Jonathan Lethem. There's a break from reading the remembered part of almost 300 pages of this. Start reading The Vagabonds, The Life on the Streets of 19th Century London by Oskar Jensen. Reading essays, The Death of the Artist by William Deresiewicz. Can't pronounce his name, but. Reading on the Transfiguration of Christ. And reading Biblical Theology by Kostenberger and Goswell. Reading the Bible, reading the Gospels, and yeah, I always like those verses. This morning we read those verses in Luke chapter 6, the last verses, 46 to 49. But why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do the things which I say? Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house when dug deep and laid the foundation of the rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently against that house and could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But he who heard and did nothing is like a man who built a house on the earth without foundation, against which the stream beat vehemently, and immediately it fell. And the ruin of that house was great. So yeah, this is a Friday. This is a Friday Reads. What I'm reading, what I got at, I got this at Schuler Books. I bought other books at Schuler Books yesterday. Used books I'll show. Books I got in the mail. I got Vagabonds in the mail this week, and I got The Arrest by Jonathan Lethem in the mail this week. And then I got Freaks came out to write in the mail. So I do get new books in the mail. Some I had pre-ordered from last year. This book only cost me $8.50. And it retails for $30. So I got it used, perfect condition. See, it's used. So yeah, reading American Fictions, 1940 to 1980 by Frederick R. Carl. Time goes by. Today's a Friday. It's sunny outside, warm. The chipmunks are out. The robins are singing by 5 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow I might go to Finville Warehouse used bookstore tomorrow. See how I feel. So writing in my diary, page 188. And life just keeps zooming by. So I hope you have a good 5 days have gone by since I made a video. I'm doing okay. I wake up in the morning. I don't feel super depressed. I feel okay. I don't know why I feel okay, but I'm thankful. Yeah, I started my March 2024 paper diary, going into spring. Is the first day of spring is March the 19th. March the 19th, Carol will be home from Denver. She leaves for Denver to visit our daughter Bethany and her family on the 13th of March. She comes back on the 19th of March. And that afternoon, I have a session with my psychologist. And then on the 21st of March, I have my 6-month physical checkup with my doctor to see how I am doing. Every 6 months, I see my doctor, my physician, to see how my health is. A health check. So I have a mental check and a health check. Keep myself healthy. I'm going to be 72 in August of 1920. No, I will be 72 on August 2024 if I'm still in the land of the living. So I hope you're all doing well. I pray that you are having a good reading week, a good reading weekend. Hope you're all doing well. And yeah, I suppose I'll shut off because it's going on 21 minutes and I'm just rambling. I'll close, and until next time, bye.